Oh hey, I didn't see you there. It's me, Dan. I can't believe it's already that holly jolly time of the year again. It's time to rock around the Christmas tree and roast your chestnuts on an open fire, because it's Christmas. If you remember 2 years ago, I did a review of the Jim Henson special, The Christmas Toy, an all-around cheesy special with a good heart. The year after that, while I technically didn't label it as a Christmas special initially, the top 10 snow levels became the namesake after the original plan for the holiday special went down the drain. I'm not going to spoil what it was, as I might tackle it again at some point in the future. You can check out those by clicking on the eye icon in the upper right corner. Anyways, this time around, we'll be looking at the most underrated animated Christmas episodes. These are episodes or specials that you either knew about but never really thought about rewatching, or the ones that you didn't even know existed at all. But these 10 are definitely worth watching or rewatching if you get the chance this holiday season. With that out of the way, let's get started. Don't blink or you'll miss him, it's Sandwich the Hedgehog. In this bizarre special, Robotnik forces the real Santa Claus to retire so that he can impersonate the Jolly Elf, and get kids all around the world to give their presents to him. But when Sonic and Tails arrive at the scene, you know things are gonna get all sorts of crazy.
Did you say Santa put Robotnik Claus in his place?
Yes, and you've got to find Santa and tell him how wrong he was. Please make him come back so we'll have Christmas the way it should be.
In the end, they save the day and restore power to the original Santa. This show gets a lot of flack for being completely nonsensical, but if you ask me, that's kind of what gives this show a bit of charm in the first place. We all need a bit of nonsensicality and slapstick around the holidays, so give this one a watch if you just want to turn your brain off.
You'll never see it coming.
A few weird facts about this special. For starters, it aired around 3 years after the run of this show ended, but it gets even weirder than that. The episode is full of references that weren't even in the show at all, but were in Sonic Set AM, the darker, grittier, more well-received Sonic cartoon that aired concurrently as The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Some references include the city of Robotropolis as well as the SWAT bots, but the most jarring of all is the inclusion of Sally Acorn. The reason Sonic was in the city in the first place was to find a gift for Sally, who is in fact his girlfriend in this special, and according to Sonic himself, they've been dating for about a year now. Funny that they've been dating for a year, yet she has no speaking role in this special at all.
Really makes you think.
Another interesting fact is that the special was originally believed to be promoting Sonic X-treme on the Sega Saturn, since in issue 41 of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic, the special is promoted as an extremely Sonic Christmas. Yeah, turns out that didn't go so hot. So instead they changed the name to Sonic Christmas Blast to promote another Sonic game, Sonic 3D Blast, a sort of top-down platformer that's as bad as you think it is. Now, this isn't 100% proven to be true, but there are a lot of factors that do line up, so do keep that in mind.
Mistletoe.
You let me think that I'm your one big love. Then you kiss and run from me. Then you kiss and run.
Going down the rabbit hole, where we're going, no one knows. Obstacles round every bend. Let's see where the tunnel ends.
Speaking of nonsensical, it's time to put up my flame shield and defend 2015's adaptation of Looney Tunes, entitled Wabbit, later changed to New Looney Tunes. I think a lot of the hate that this show gets is because it was riding off the heels of the Looney Tunes show, a unique spin on Looney Tunes characters living out relatively normal lives in a modern society. The show had quite a following, but was cut short only after 2 seasons. Then, only a year later, a new Looney Tunes show had hit the scene, and it was more akin to classic Looney Tunes antics in a modern-day society. Whether it be the first season focusing primarily on only bugs, the blink and you'll miss it pacing of the jokes, the questionable redesigns that some characters were given, or the abundance of new characters that were added, the show garnered lots of malice. I for one enjoy a change of the formula every once in a while, and though at first I was thrown off of Wabbit, I eventually started leaning into it and enjoying it myself. Anyway, the episode in question is 'Tis the Seasoning. In this episode, Bugs and Yosemite Sam are fighting over the last acorn roaster, with Bugs wanting to give it to his squirrel friend, Squeaks, for Christmas, while Yosemite wants to scalp that shit at 100 times the markup price. This concept is laughably realistic, like of course Sam would be a scalper around the holiday seasons. He robbed people in the past and now he's just robbing them with the people willingly giving him their money. Anyway, the episode is 5 minutes of non-stop slapstick and laughter. Seriously, the pacing of these episodes moves so fast that it's hard to keep up sometimes. This episode only takes up 5 minutes of your time, so definitely check it out if you get a chance, and maybe you'll start to gain an appreciation for new Looney Tunes as well.
All right, Doc, you win. Your presents are over there.
Yippee! Happy holidays! Happy holidays to me! All right, my train set, my pony, my TN...
Kids, I know it's Christmas Eve, but I don't think you pray to Santa. Lord Santa, strike him down!
Who needs Christmas ham when you've got Christmas ham burgers? It's time for Bob's Burgers, the sleeper hit Fox show that no one expected to become as popular as it did, since, you know, it wasn't a Seth MacFarlane show. In the episode Father of the Bob, we get a deeper look into Bob's family life when the Belchers spend the holidays at Bob's father's restaurant. The father's name is also Bob, so in order to differentiate, they call Old Bob Big Bob. I don't know about y'all, but if someone called me Big Dan, I would not appreciate that one bit. Apparently there was a falling out between Bob and Big Bob many years ago, which is why Bob hasn't seen Big Bob for long periods of time. Meanwhile, with the B-plot, the kids are competing with one another to find the best present for their father in Big Bob's basement. If you ever had to get a last-minute gift for anyone, this B-plot will definitely put a smile on your face. With great performances from the likes of Nick Offerman and Bill Hader as Pete and Big Bob respectively, as well as other guest stars in this episode, and a rather heartwarming conclusion, this is one Christmas special that'll leave you more filled than the burger of the day. So, fun fact, while I was researching this episode, I came across a deleted improvised audio clip of Bob, Linda, and Big Bob, which brings Big Bob's drinking problem into light.
We just like to forget everything that we were taught since we were 3 years old.
That's good, that's
Hey,
good.
Bob,
all
that's
good.
your wife, Linda. Did you forget that too?
Timer went off.
I'm your father. You're in a kitchen right now in a restaurant.
Timer
You
went
know
off.
where you are right now? You dum-dum.
Okay. Oh
Use
boy.
your brain.
Who wants Bailey's?
Bailey's. Get that out of my joiner. You know I'm on the wagon.
It's good.
You know I can't have no Bailey's next to me.
I forgot.
Get it out of my
I'm
face!
sorry.
Get it away from
I'm
me!
sorry.
Probably for the best that they scrapped the clip, which would have made the episode a lot darker, especially the scene at the junkyard. Ugh.
What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
No one likes to work on Christmas, right? Well, for Pinky and the Brain, conquering the world is a job 365 days of the year, especially on Jesus' birthday. In the aptly named A Pinky and the Brain Christmas, Brain comes up with another scheme to take over the world. This time he plans on making a mind-controlling doll called Noodle Noggin.
Noodle Noggin. I love that name.
The only way to get to every household on Christmas morning is to mass produce it at Santa's workshop. Well, that's dumb. What about the Jews, Brain? What about the Jews? Also, apparently in the Spielberg verse, Santa's existence is just the thing that everyone is in agreement about, so that's cool, I guess. So they disguise themselves as elves, despite not looking anything like elves, but they have a totally reasonable excuse for that.
You guys aren't real elves, are you?
Of course we are. We're just Canadian elves. Trying to blend in, eh?
Yeah, Canadian. Well, you failed.
Throughout the entire episode, Pinky tries to mail his letter to Santa Claus, but he keeps forgetting or is constantly dismissed by Brain. This plays an important role in the climax of the episode, which might be one of, if not the most memorable Pinky and the Brain moment of the entire series. Not only did this scene secure the episode a Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program, but both LaMarche and Paulson, voices for the titular duo, consider this their best work for the show, and were both in tears while recording the scene. This is a must-see Christmas episode with amazing performances and animation. And of course, it wouldn't be a Spielberg cartoon without references up the wazoo. Probably my favorite from the episode is the one right here, making fun of those Garfield suction cup toys. Hilarious.
Joy to the world, Todd is here. He drank up all your beer.
You know what's even better than a Christmas episode? How about a Christmas episode inside of a Christmas episode? In the BoJack Horseman episode, Sabrinas Christmas Wish, we see the titular horseman, BoJack, being bothered by his slacker roommate Todd, informing him of Christmas, which in Hollywood, where the show takes place, it never snows, so no one really is shown caring. That won't stop Todd from reluctantly convincing BoJack to watch a Christmas episode from the show that BoJack starred on in the 90s, titled Horsin' Around. What follows is your standard run-of-the-mill 90s sitcom Christmas episode, with a few hints of the cynical world of BoJack Horseman thrown around. The basic plot is that the youngest sibling, Sabrina, has the impossible Christmas wish of seeing her dead parents again, and it's up to BoJack to keep her innocence intact regarding Christmas and Santa. Jam-packed with every 90s sitcom cliche, including catchphrases,
"Get presents just for being good? That's too much, man."
That's my favorite line!
and an annoying neighbor character,
And a goober in a pear tree.
Go home, goober.
and it even ends with a heartwarming message. Anyways, there's some other neat tidbits about this episode, like the fact that BoJack's boss, who's only heard through the PA, which by the way is another cliche of the 90s, is voiced by Herb Kazaz, the director of the show, so you know this was an early episode in the 9-season run of the show, since Herb was later removed from the show due to controversies that I will not spoil for you. Also, every now and then we get hilarious commentary from Todd and BoJack, with the former asking the latter a bunch of questions regarding the plot of the episode.
Things don't become traditions because they're good, BoJack. They become good because they're traditions.
You know you can't just make yourself sound smart by saying things backwards.
Oh, I can't. Can't I?
Anyway, the episode will give you all the nostalgia of a 90s sitcom from a 2010 point of view, with the amazing character interactions to boot. Then again, this is BoJack Horseman we're speaking of, so I wouldn't expect any less. We'll be right back.
That was great, Mr. Sludgy. Now, will you tell us the story of the most horrible Christmas ever?
No, little girl. No, I won't. Wait. Yes, I will.
This ain't your mom and dad's Christmas special. No, this is Invader Zim's The Most Horrible Xmas Ever. You ever see those articles about shows you shouldn't watch with your parents? Well, Invader Zim is definitely one of those shows. In the episode, Zim tries to harness the power of Santa's charm in order to conquer the world, including donning a Santa suit of his own. Of course it won't be easy, as Dib will do all he can to stop the extraterrestrial. If you've ever watched Invader Zim before, then you know exactly what to expect. Dark imagery, warped music, screwed up dialogue, you know, the works. Weirdly enough, this episode has some character development behind Professor Membrane, Dib's father, who we rarely see throughout the series. This time around, we get to learn about his hatred for Santa and his pursuit towards less orthodox sciences. I'd say this might have been taken a little too far, but this is Invader Zim we're talking about, so of course it's gonna get screwed up quickly. Unfortunately, this is a bittersweet episode, as it's considered the series finale of the show, cut short, unfortunately. That is until Enter the Florpus releases sometime next year. There's also a cut version that aired on TV, and an uncut version that only appeared on DVD. There aren't many differences except some changed voice clips and music tracks. All in all, a very unconventional holiday special that is great time all around.
Easter shrimp for all that you tackle the boy who destroyed Santa! Easter platypus, we love you!
Now here's the very definition of an underrated show. It's The Tick. Airing for only 3 seasons and 36 episodes, and receiving numerous remakes and reboots, this show became a cult classic, especially with adults, in part due to its subtle, mature humor. That same humor can be found in the episode The Tick Loves Santa. In this episode, the Tick and Arthur run into a lowly burglar, but the Tick can't bring himself to beat him up since the burglar is dressed as Santa, and the Tick idolizes Santa as the figure of ultimate good. Things take a turn for the worse when the burglar gets a deadly jolt of electricity, giving him the power to create clones of himself. Thus he dons himself the name of... Oh my god, I'm sorry, but the name is really stupid. I can't help but mentally slap myself in the face every time I say it. He dons the name of Multiple Santa. Yeah, not exactly as unique as Chair Chippendale. Anyways, Multiple Santa is causing more and more trouble for the city since he's able to create more clones of him than heroes available. And the Tick is no help, stuck, suffering from his mortal dilemma to see if he really should go through with beating up Santa. I gotta say, as hilarious as the show is, I do feel kinda bad for the Tick in this moment. Here we have a happy, chipper, and optimistic individual being faced with an existential crisis of beating up the epitome of all that is good in the world. That is, until the real Santa shows up, and of course it's treated like a top-secret operation because it's the Tick and anything can happen. This is a hilarious episode that would be a crime to skip out on, and while I'm not going to spoil the ending, I'll leave you with this one clip. Do with it what you will.
Santa, look, I still...
He's got a gun! Take him down!
Easy, boys, easy. Sorry about that, Artie. Ho-ho, most people are nice, but once in a while a naughty little boy loses it and comes after Santa. Here, have a pencil set.
Oh, 90s. Never change. Pack your bags because we're taking a trip down to Arlen, Texas with this next entry. King of the Hill is one of those shows that you either love or hate. There really is no middle ground. For the longest time I thought I really did hate this show, but after forcing myself to sit through a mediocre first season, I came to enjoy the show and everything it had to offer. Now, of course, this show isn't for everyone. If you're not into shows whose main form of comedy is dry, awkward humor, then this show is definitely not for you. But if you're into that kind of stuff, you should definitely check out the episode Pretty Pretty Dresses. Fun fact, the title of this episode comes from the line that Bill stated in the episode from Season 2 titled The Son That Got Away.
My dad used to punish me by telling me I was a girl. He used to make me wear dresses. Pretty, pretty dresses.
Which is all too ironic, seeing as this is a Bill-centric episode. In the episode, we witness Bill become more and more depressed as he draws closer to Christmas and is reminded of his ex-wife, Lenore. He's so bad at this time of the season that he makes everyone else's life miserable whenever he interacts with them.
You ever think about that dead boyfriend of yours? Well, I wonder if you'll ever find someone again. I mean, most people just get one relationship in this life.
Luann, honey, can you help me serve at the party? You were such a wonderful hostess last year.
What?
Despite that, Hank is supporting his friend in any way he can despite his constant annoyances because they were great teammates for the Arlen High football team. As we witness Bill's state of mind become worse and worse, followed by a really sad suicide attempt, even Hank gives up on Bill. Obviously Bill didn't really want to kill himself, otherwise this next scene could have gone a whole lot different.
I have to tinkle.
Not on my watch.
Bill becomes so desperate to get Lenore back that he eventually takes up the persona and attire of Lenore, since deep in his mind he realizes that that's the closest he'll ever get to getting her back. This is where Hank draws the line and uninvites Bill to the annual Christmas party, where he tries to impress Strickland Propane clients and is nervous that Bill's presence will drive them away.
Bill's busy. I needed a wrap. It's chilly. Yep.
All right, that's it.
This episode does a great job diving into the psyche of Bill and his love life, as well as further develop the friendship between Bill and Hank. Definitely give it a watch if you want a few good laughs sprinkled around this admittedly dark episode, especially for a Christmas special.
Well, if you're Lenore, then where's Bill? Huh?
Bill's in the house. You want me to go get him?
I'm skeptical that you could, yet intrigued that you may.
What? Wake up, something's happened. It isn't fair in the cockpit. The bloke up there looks like a Chinese or a Mongolian or something.
What? We don't keep the macadamia nuts up here!
Anyone remember Bloom County? It was an 80s comic strip that ran for about 10 years that focused heavily on geopolitical topics during that time period. Well, did you know that the comic had a Christmas special? Yes, based on the successful children's book with the same name, A Wish for Wings That Work aired on CBS in December of 1991. The story basically follows that of the books, where we follow the most popular characters of the Bloom County gang, Opus, the large-nosed penguin, and Bill, the large orange tabby cat. In this special, we see Opus coping with the fact that, as a penguin, his wings were not meant for flying, but he gets the ingenious idea of asking Santa for new wings that'll let him fulfill his dream of flying. And yeah, that's basically the plot of the entire special. But don't let that simple premise fool you. This special has a lot more packed to its punch than you might think. Weirdly enough, they got Michael Bell to voice Opus, because when you see Opus, you expect him to sound like Chaz Finster, right? But damn, they got some star power in this voice cast, including Dustin Hoffman and the late great Robin Williams, uncredited might I add, voicing a cross-dressing cockroach and a coping kiwi, respectively, of which the latter you might recognize for a famous line that he uttered.
Just be glad your wife didn't leave you for an albatross! An albatross! With great, big, long wings! He was on hormones. You heard me read my beak. Hormones!
Other than the voice cast, I'd like to point your attention to the animation, which looks absolutely incredible for a one-off Christmas special. It was animated by Amblin Television, a division of Steven Spielberg, so of course it's gonna look great. What's funny is that the creator of the strip and special, Berkeley Breathed, was very disappointed with the final outcome of the special. I understand that he'd be skeptical to see someone else tamper with his creation, but I truly think that this is an amazing Christmas special that is definitely worth your time.
Now this is what Christmas is all about.
Just when you think all your presents are accounted for, that's the time you gotta ask for more.
And for my number one spot, we've got a Garfield Christmas. This one may confuse a few of you, since a Garfield Christmas is a bit more popular when compared to the other entries on this list. But it's constantly overshadowed by the other holiday classics, like A Charlie Brown Christmas, Rudolph, the Grinch, you name it. I'd chalk it up to something you might own, but never really had the time to watch due to an overabundance of other specials. Anyways, I love this special with every fiber of my being. The voice acting, the animation, the music, the comedy.
Scoot over, sonny boy. Let old Grandma take a whack at that. Oh, Christmas tree, how lovely are thy branches. Whoop, whoop, bidoop, bidoop, bidoop. Well, what do you think, dearie?
That was interesting.
All of it wrapped together perfectly in this approximately 22-minute special. In it, we see John, Garfield, and Odie headed down to the farm to spend Christmas with the Arbuckle family. And once again, that is really the entire plot of the special. They get there and wacky hijinks ensue, which is to be expected whenever Garfield is involved. As always, Lorenzo Music does an amazing job as Garfield, pulling off the fat cat who's lazy but does genuinely care about the holiday.
Whoever invented Christmas trees should be drug out into the street and shot.
However, this special is really the first time we're introduced to Grandma Arbuckle, voiced by Pat Carroll, aka Ursula from The Little Mermaid. However, this grandma isn't like your normal aged elderly, as this special basically introduced the world to the cool old lady trope that we see a lot of today.
You sure are packing the food away tonight, Grandma.
I'm eating for two now, dear.
She's a tough woman who Garfield is immediately attached to thanks to her cooking skills and stubborn attitude. That being said, she's not all rough and tough, and we do get a surprisingly upsetting subplot about Grandma coping with Christmas without her husband. This special does a great job building on character relations. There really is no character that's one-dimensional. Even Odie, who's portrayed as a dumb dog, seems to have something going on behind the scenes with this special. I could go on and on about everything that's great about this, but we'd probably be here until Christmas. If you're looking for a special that'll make you laugh, cry, and just give you a warm feeling on the inside at the end of it, then you can't really go wrong with a Garfield Christmas.
Nice touch.
Well, that about wraps up my time here. To everyone watching this, I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'd like to thank you for joining me for this year of the Dan the Man Show. It's been quite a jam-packed year for both me and my channel. I've made new friends, gained new skills, branched out a bit more, and started working on larger projects. 2019 is shaping up to be a great year for the channel, so make sure you stick around to find out what happens. Once again, thank you to everyone, and I'll be seeing you soon.
Hey, ha, ha, ho!